It's your boy Triple BLACK. Hey, good morning, man. Good morning, man. Welcome to No Cupcake Zone. You already know what it is, man. I let your boy. Ah. Anyway, and the reason I made this video called self-reflection, because last night I was looking through my videos and I was looking through my podcast. I want to reboot my podcast, but I don't know what the hell it is, man. I always tell myself, man, this was it was a great show, man. It was a great show, especially from a local perspective. What I used to do is I used to interview, football players, goons, all kinds of people, and just like just have some real talk or whatever, man. It used to be kind of fun. I would ask these. I felt like they were thought-provoking questions, and as you grow, in anything, you start to you know to become more, I guess, more educated or more advanced and things like that. So a lot of my topics and things like that started to change. uh, at first, when I did the podcast, it was like low frequency conversations, just low frequency topics, and it was fun. Like people liked it, but over the years, I've got a little bit more. I feel like higher frequency. There's a lot of things that changed about just my whole vernacular and everything like that. I've always been like very strong-minded, very opinionated person, and the thing about it is now a year, almost a year later, a little over a year later, my situation is completely changed. I was married, I had a kid, now I'm separated, I'm on my own, and I'm living in a different city, and everything, and I was like looking at the whole experience that I was having, and things started to like kind of implode around me. My family situation, my significant other and stuff like that. She had, her family and stuff like that. And I was like, I try to take an objective look at myself, especially when I'm doing my videos and podcast. And when I was like looking at it from a lens from a different person, I was like, man, this guy's very arrogant. This guy's a know-it-all. This guy is, he's kind of an asshole. Hey, I'm doing good, man. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to Malcolm, man. Shout out to him, man. Hey, but this guy is very arrogant. This guy's kind of an asshole, And he's sitting in his house. He's got these kids. He's using all these big words, blah blah blah. And I was just like thinking to myself, wow. And this is around the time that my significant other's being bombarded with other people's opinions about me. He's this, he's that. A lot of people just came out of the woodworks, and then from the perception, he's educated, he's got a family, he had, it's I don't know. I was making myself a major threat, and I didn't even know it. And that's one of the things about our community. It's like when you, even if it's not. I mean, we still had struggles. I still have my struggles or whatever. But the picture that I guess that came across, that everything was all good, and you got to understand that if people, a lot of times with people around you, if they look at your situation and they look that you're doing good, a lot of the bad part comes out. The jealousy, the envy, and all these type of things come out, and they try to sink your ship. They were trying to sink your ship, and I can understand how, some of her friends and some of her family and all this type of stuff saw me, and guys, saying this guy's saying that, he's living in here, and let's I don't like this guy, so let's sink his ship. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what happened. Because I'm not a perfect fool. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, and shit. I do agree with some of those type of things, but it's a self-reflection that, and the thing is like I went on a job interview, and the thing about it is I look at when I look at my resume, I'm like, why am I not getting these opportunities? Why? Why? And I had to take a self-reflection. Self-reflection. Sometimes they say, like, I get in there, we have an informal interview. I start really, really, really promoting myself. To a lot of people, that really turns them off. And that's why you got to also look at silence. Silence sometimes is golden. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. You go on an interview, for people to find out things about you, but sometimes it's better not to say too much, in life. And I'm just using one aspect, like a job interview. Even when you're talking to women, and that's why, like with women, the educated guy or the nice guy or that guy is perceived to be corny or finish last or whatever. For instance, that guy that that has a lot of knowledge that when a lot of women are not impressed with that at all. They don't care about all that. They rather be with like that guy that's mysterious, that doesn't say too much, doesn't text back, oh my bad, man, I don't know what the fuck happened, but anyways, but I was just using that one example too. And it's like when you act too interested, it turns people off. It's just like that salesperson that says way too much. He's putting a full court press on a client. You come off as sales desperate, all those type of things. You could be giving. I remember we used to have. I used to, work with this one guy. He was a great salesman, and the reason that he was a great salesman is he only said the right things, and he listened way more than he talked. And that's one of the self-reflective measures that I believe that sometimes holds me back. Like they say, God gave you one mouth and two ears, so you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. And the thing about is he said he was a person with very few words, but it was the right words, because he would listen and kind of dissect and find out what were the pressure points, what were the goals, what was trying to be accomplished, and he would match his sales presentation to that. That was a great psychological tool that he used to use. And it's all relative. But what's crazy about that is that was a style that he perfected. And you know why he was able to be really good at it? Because he displayed a lot of confidence while doing it. And when he displayed a lot of confidence while doing it, it didn't show, the desperation type thing or anything like that. And he was a very few words. But what's also a dichotomy or very interesting, there was another guy that was equally as successful. He was fast talking, snake oil guy. But the thing about the snake oil guy was he also very calculated. He did a whole lot of listening, even though it seemed like he was, he was a guy that really listened, and he would find a pressure point and pretty much destroy it, not destroy it, but hit you on those pressure points. Hit you on those pressure points. It's fast, not fast talker, but he was just a real. Uh, to me, he was very slimy, but he had the confidence to really pull that off, and he had the confidence to really pull that off. The thing about it was, like, I remember one time, he was selling this product, and what he did was, of course, there was some pushback, and instead of, like, just giving up and saying, hey, here's my business card, and we'll see you later, he pivoted. What he did was, he asked a simple question. He's like, well, what is causing you not to buy today? he's like, I want you to be honest on what reason that you have not to buy it today. And he was like, and the person was like, well, it costs too much. And so what he did was, he broke down the cost of that product, and he also broke down of things he broke down car payment, he broke down the housing payment, not the housing payment, but the cable, phone, all those type of things. He broke all those things down to a day amount. And this guy was selling beds. He was selling these really high end beds for like $5,000-$6,000. And he asked the guy, who was like, hey, you know what's more important to you, driving in your car or going to sleep? And and then he broke down why sleep is very important. He broke down all these facts, all these statistics, and all this type of stuff. So he really broke it down on why you need sleep. And then he was like, well, how much? And then he broke down the comparison of how much they spent on cable, how much they spent on their house. I mean, like, on their car, their insurance, and all these type of things. And he did what you call it, the Maslow. I mean, this is a business term, Maslow theory of hierarchy or whatever. And then he's like, rank those things. And then, of course, it forces you to rank sleep at the top of it. He's like, well, so you're paying, and I'm going, follow me with this. He was like, so you're paying X amount of dollar for your cable bill, that you can't watch that much, but you need to at least be in your bed 8 hours a week. I mean, 8 hours a day. So you mean to tell me that's more important to you? And then once that it wrapped around that customer's mind of why it was so important to have proper sleep and comfort and all this type of stuff, they ended up buying. And he did that time and time and time again. And and the thing about it was, he listened. He listened. He crafted everything to that particular situation. But self-reflection, man. Self-reflection. Perception is all about. Perception is all about. I don't know. I'm stuck on that one. I can't come up with a good. I can't come up with perceptions all over. But I was reflecting on a lot of my videos and things like that, and it was very interesting because I can see why a lot of the people didn't like me. I can see why a lot of people didn't want to sell what I was, wanted to buy what I was trying to sell. And my product review was not that. Based on probably what significant other was telling them and all this type of stuff. So it's very, 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 very important for you to have an honest reflection of yourself. Because the thing about it is, the narcissist, we're not a narcissist because we don't abuse other people with it. You know, a lot of people are not narcissists because they don't abuse other people with it. But there's certain things about you that you feel that are great qualities, and a lot of times those qualities can be looked at as worse qualities. And where I'm going with this is, when you might think that, man, I'm a kind person, I do all these gestures, I do all this, and I'm a good guy, and all this type of stuff, and you feel that you should be rewarded for it. Sometimes people view your kindness for weakness. You know, and it's very sad. It's you can. Bah! Man, I need to get some nose hair clippers. Probably look like I'm snuffing coke. Probably look like I'm doing dope. But anyways, man, self-reflection, man, I think that's very, very, very important. And being able to really, really self-reflect is a very important. It's just an important thing to grow and learn. You know, because one of the things is like, a lot of people have deficiencies, and unless you can see those deficiencies, you'll never grow. You'll never grow. You'll never grow. You'll never progress. You'll never change, and you stay stagnant. And the thing about growth, it's you got to be very consistent. You know, like they say, it takes like 3 weeks to change habits. You know, and even with that, you don't change right away. You just change one habit. You know, to change your whole lifestyle, you got probably like, 10, 20 habits. You know, and that's very hard to do, and especially when you don't realize the bad habits that you have. It's hard to grow when you don't, and you got to take an objective look at yourself. You know, and when you look at yourself objectively, sometimes you can really look at why some of your shortcomings are happening. You know, and I was like thinking, reflecting in for myself, for instance, right? I always used to think myself, man, you know what? I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and like, I remember I was, I thought I used to be doing admirable things. Like, I would get home, I would cook, I would, run errands and be with my son. I was a doting dad. I mean, I don't make any apologies for that, because that was my little man. I did everything with him, and a lot of people saw that. A lot of people saw that, how I was very, very, very involved in being a parent. Everything wasn't, I didn't really care about it, but doing that aspect, trying to be a loving husband and all this type of stuff. And I thought that was a quality, like I was saying, is that should have been rewarded. But you got to also understand how people perceive certain qualities. When they see a person that is perceived to be really kind, gentle and all this type of stuff, a lot of times that perception as weakness, is perceived as weakness. That's why you hear the whole saying is people always take your kindness for weakness. And sometimes you got to really, look at yourself and make sure that you're not being that guy. You're not the perception of you is not that ultra simp, accommodating, whatever, because people will take advantage of that. People will take advantage of that. They will take advantage of you. They will take advantage of that. So you have to be very, very self-aware of how you come across. Because if you're not self-aware on how you come across, a lot of times they will take your kindness for weakness. It's just like one of those things. Unfortunately, in the world, we live in a dirty, dirty, dirty world, and and people are scumbags. You feel me? People are real scumbags, and people are real scumbags. So watch yourself. Self-reflection, man. But anyways, man, let me get off of this. So I make some phone calls. Make sure you like this video. Shout out to Malcolm Jackson. Always show love to the boy. I'll let your boy, man.